Yeah, that's right. I get that feeling too. Week 2 of the fantasy playoffs, and hope you made it to the championship. It's time to recap the Week 15 games here in the Audible. It's Cecil, Lammey, and Sigmund Bloom going beyond the box score to let you know exactly what happened in all of Sunday's action across the National Football League. And first, Bloom, Ding Dong, the witch is dead. The Patriots are not going to the playoffs for the first time since 2008. 22-12, the final score. Miami gets the win. Cam Newton, 209 yards on 17 of 27 passing. Also 38 yards as a rusher. No touchdowns, no INT. Sacked 3 times, harassed a lot. Jacoby Myers, 7 for 111. If you had him in. I don't know why you'd be playing N'Keal Harry or anybody like that. Hey, my man Dalton Keene had a catch. That was pretty cool. Sony Michel had 10 for 74. No Damian Harris in this game. Then we also see that Sony had 1 for 8 as a receiver. And then James White, 4 for 52 if you had him in as a what the heck flex as a receiver. 3 yards rushing on the ground. It's just not there. You heard the comments from Belichick after the game. Yeah. This team has a lot of work to get back to where they once were. And this is unusual, Bloom. We'll be talking about a playoff bracket that doesn't include New England.
Wasn't there? I'm not up on Star Wars as much as I should be. Wasn't there 2 Death Stars? Wasn't there like a Death Star and then another Death Star?
Second Death Star in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we all remember the second Death Star more because it came first in our lives. This is kind of like that, off-brand Death Star, but it's still, they were trying to build another star. Maybe it wouldn't blow up planets, know. Maybe it would just really glare in your eyes and annoy you when you're flying your spaceship. It was not a powerful Death Star, but they were still trying to build something this year, and it's a failure. What's funny is, we can go back to like May, like after the draft, we were saying, are they really going to go to the season with Stidham at quarterback? Is this really going to be kind of a rebuilding year right away? Well, it wasn't a rebuilding year right away, but they're rebuilding at the end of it. And the big decision here is Cam Newton going into free agency. I don't know. I think that it is fair. I have to say, not an apology, but I'll say I was wrong. Newton physically is used up. That was basically the theory. Like, why wasn't anybody signing Newton? Why was there no interest in him? And we saw, for one brief night, week 2 against Seattle, the beautiful Cam Newton. Right. And it was an amazing night. And it was one that sees, you could say New England and Seattle. Well, you'll think, of course, of, Ricardo Lockett and all that. But you'll remember that game. It was a magnificent game. Only the Browns-Ravens game is basically on the level of that game that we saw this year. But poor Cam. You just wonder what's next chapter for him, what's next chapter for Belichick. Damian Harris was out saying Michelle wasn't bad. He only got 10 touches, though. I don't understand why they didn't stick with the run. You saw a little more James White. Jacoby Myers had a fumble, more than made up with it for it. His arrow is pointing up. N'Keal Harry's arrow, not so much. So it was setting up maybe for New England to try to stay alive and keep Buffalo from clinching a title. And Buffalo has a title, first time in 25 years. Woo! We're not going to recap that game, but hey, yeah, Buffalo and New England staying home, and it'll be interesting to see who starts Week 16, Week 17.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins continue to build this thing with Tua Tagovailoa, 20 of 26, 145. So it was a bunch of short stuff. Did throw a pick, sacked a couple of times, but it was Salvin Ahmed. I don't know if anyone gets it right. Had a rushing touchdown, 122 yards on the ground. Tua, by the way, didn't throw any, but he ran 2 in. That's going to help your day if you had him in. Matt Breida was out there, 12 for 86 on the ground. Durham Smythe led the way with 5 for 40. Again, you look at his very efficient passing and only 145 yards. Nobody did much as a result. Lynn Bowden, 6 for 37, right? So it just wasn't there, but it was working on the ground, whether it was Breida, Ahmed, or Tua.
Yeah, Tua with an undrafted free agent at running back who was cut by his original team this year, with none of his top 4 pass catchers, put together like a 90-plus yard drive, like a 70-plus yard drive, another drive that was 70, 80 yards. And remember, this is the Patriots defense that made Justin Herbert look like, Fat Albert or something. He just made it look completely... It was the one game this year you're like, Justin Herbert don't got nothing. If you'd seen just that one game, you'd say, Herbert's got a long way to go. Tua, completely outgunned in this one, looked good. poised on his rushing touchdowns. One of them, he was really poised in the pocket, pulled it down, and saw the lane. Another one, it could have been Salvin Ahmed, and that's another thing. So it's week 15, of course, fantasy semis. You're overthinking every decision. You know, if for some reason you put Ahmed in, and I certainly wasn't going to tell anybody to plug him in. Dolphins' running game hasn't been like dominant in any way. I mean, they've been okay. Ahmed was fantastic, and what a journey for him. What a journey for Isaiah Ford. Can we just say that this is how bad it was for the Dolphins? They traded a guy to the Patriots, Isaiah Ford, for like some, couch cushion change and draft capital. The Patriots released him, and the Dolphins started him, and they still won. Even Matt Breida showing that burst finally that we hadn't seen since his 49ers days. So what this sets up, okay, the Patriots aren't going to be in the playoff bracket in the AFC, but I'm not sure how that second half of the bracket's going to set up. And there's some good teams, right? Tennessee, Indianapolis, Baltimore, Miami. Miami's going to play the Raiders to probably put a stake through their heart. That's, if you are a playoff team, you have to be able to beat the Raiders, unless you're the Chiefs, So this is going to be a wild derby right down to the end in the AFC. And Miami's in it. And again, let's go back to August. We say, well, who knows? Maybe the Dolphins could flirt with the playoff bid. No, the Dolphins have been a good team. And hey, if they'd been able to beat Denver, they'd be in an even better spot right now. But I think going back to Tua has worked out. Tua's looking good. Tua passes this test.
Jaguars and Ravens up next, and it's 40-14. This really wasn't much of a game. And on the Jaguars side, I mean, I guess we can talk about couple of touchdowns in the second half, including Gardner Minshew going 22 of 29, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, sacked 5 times, harassed all day. DJ Chark 4 for 53. It was Chris Conley with one of the receiving touchdowns, James Robinson with the other. So even when he gets 16 for 35 on the ground, he gets 3 for 18 and a touch as a receiver. Laviska Shenault 5 for 43, Tyler Eifert 3 for 51. Oh, why can't we just talk about Trevor Lawrence?
Exactly.
Holding up his London Jaguars jersey. Right. That's more interesting than this game or this team.
Let's just do spoiler alert, right? Spoiler alert. As of this moment, I believe, because they played a weaker schedule, the Jaguars will get Trevor Lawrence. That's the headline of the day for the Jags. Has nothing to do with this game. Just keep losing. Just keep losing. They have the Bears and the Colts left. Just keep losing, and he's yours. Gardner Minshew does okay in garbage time. Not much in the first half of the year. Very slow start for him. James Robinson. This one's kind of sad, right? James Robinson, a key to a lot of teams making it this far in the fantasy playoffs, makes a tremendous catch, like over-the-shoulder catch for a touchdown to help you. May not help you next week. We'll see. He's got an ankle injury. And don't ask me which Jags running back to pick up. Neither. Nobody. You saw, what after that? I don't know. DJ Chark caught a few passes. Eifert. There was nothing there because it was just a few garbage time scores for Jacksonville. They just got in the way of the Baltimore buzzsaw.
Baltimore buzzsaw, including Lamar Jackson, 3 touchdowns, 243 yards passing, and then, of course, the rushing touchdown. So he was absolutely monumental. Marquise Brown, 6 for 98. Mark Andrews, 5 for 66 and a touch. Dez Bryant caught a touchdown. Miles Boykin caught a touchdown. So there you go. And guys you didn't start that scored on Sunday. J.K. Dobbins was 64 yards and a rushing touchdown. The Jackson rushing touchdown there as well. So bad, Bloom, that Tyler Huntley, got into the game. And he was one of those undrafted guys, okay, and by the way, it had Lamar Jackson, like shades of Lamar Jackson comparison. So it's always cool when you see like a super sleeper guy like that get some time.
Lamar Jackson likes him too. And it's one of those one seats when they signed Tyler Huntley, at least you said good fit. Yes. Good offensive fit, good organizational fit. Yeah. Yep. So it always gets your attention while we're talking undrafted free agents. Lamar, hasn't been good. I mean, if you took Lamar in the second or third round, you aren't in the fantasy semis because of Lamar, but you might be in the finals because of Lamar. I just think Commodores, easy like Sunday morning. I mean, it just looks easy. It looks easy for this offense right now. And Jackson even threw an interception early. It was supposed to be to Marquise Brown, a little overthrown. And then they get a safety, like on the next play. That's the Ravens, even though they had some banged up players on defense, it's coming back into focus for this offense. You're going to see next week they're going to face a somewhat tough Giants defense. We'll get to watch them as we speak against the Browns. J.K. Dobbins leads in carries, gets a touchdown. Not a massive day, but a good enough day. Gus Edwards still looks good, but doesn't come through for us. Mark Andrews comes through for us. Also drew a pass interference in this one. Marquise Brown, you'll take it. I mean, 6 for 98. You're fine with that. And it's good. This has been, 4 straight weeks that he's been solid for fantasy. He got off the COVID list. Again, what you're looking for here, James Bradbury. I don't know if that's really that great of a matchup for Bradbury against Hollywood. Can we just take a moment out, Cease, to say Dez Bryant caught a touchdown? Dez caught it. No, he really caught it. He caught a touchdown. He did. And you can tell in the post-game interview, he's genuinely emotional about this team and about this opportunity. And I think it's one of those things that, I mean, in some ways I feel bad because I want to underscore the humanity in football, but we sweep through things so fast. I do it like anybody else on Twitter. Oh, this player got hurt. That means this guy gets an opportunity. Stephon Gilmore, is he going to get traded now because he got hurt, a non-contact injury in that New England-Miami game? Maybe it's callous. But I think we don't understand, at least for some players, how much it means just to get to play, just to get to be part of a team, to get to be part of an effort where everyone pulls together and tries to create something greater than themselves. And I think that's where Dez Bryant is right now. Remember, doesn't have a ring. So that was great. That was great to see. And as of right now, I don't think Baltimore's in the playoffs, but they have much easier matchups than all of the teams ahead of them. So you just keep winning these games, let the chips fall where they may, but this is looking like a very dangerous team. And wouldn't it suit this team, Cease? They're getting the Giants next week, by the way. Wouldn't it suit this team to come into the playoffs as a wild card, as an underdog, as a team that is hungry and disregarded, as opposed to the team that was put on a pedestal last year?
Yep, or the year before that where Phillip Rivers just tore them up.
Yeah.
And we watched that game in Vegas, and I don't even feel this is controversial. If they make it in, they'll go further than the Steelers.
Oh, they'll probably play the Steelers in the first round.
Oh, yeah, that's the way it goes. Speaking of Phillip Rivers, there he is. Colts over the Texans, 27-20, the final score. Deshaun Watson, 33 of 41, 373 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. It was Chad Hansen. That continues, 2 for 55 and a touch. Brandon Cook's back, and he went 6 for 59 in this one. Kiki Cutie, 5 for 53 and a touch, and some interesting plays from Kiki after that. We'll get to Jordan Akins had 5 for 50 if you somehow had him in. David Johnson, 8 for 27 on the ground. 11 for 106 as a receiver. Yay. Okay. So there's the story of the Texans just falling short in about every category. Sounds about right for this season.
Cease, is this a socks-worthy day or not quite?
Not quite with the way that thing ended.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I was going to do like one sock on, one sock off. The thing is, I'm going to admit it for the viewers at home, and I love the way you tell me like not to hurt myself. It was a Kiki day.
Okay, it was a Kiki day. Okay.
Well, he scored a touchdown, and even in the fumbles are -1, -2. It was a much bigger fumble. Like maybe we should look into for fantasy software, a game-losing fumble should be like -5, right?
Right.
As opposed to the -1 or -2. Look, if you put QT in especially in a PPR league where you get that 15 whatever 13 14, you'll take it. What can you say about poor Deshaun Watson? I mean, again, how bad would this team be getting blown out without Deshaun Watson? I mean, truly, He's worth like 15 or 20 points every week to this team's ability to stay competitive. And once again, they play the Colts, who are a playoff team right now, straight up, have the ball inside the 10 in the waning seconds, down. It was down 6 2 weeks ago. It's down 7 this week. And QT just didn't see Darius Leonard, who's a tremendous player. Just didn't see him closing from the side, and fumbles at about the 2-yard line. Looked like it's like reminiscent almost of that Ernest Biner fumble, where your brain was completing the play like he's going to score and tie this up, and instead he fumbles. Which, if it was a second touchdown, it absolutely would have been a sock day. Watson was under fire early in this one. DeForest Buckner, who was a game-time decision, was in his grill all day. Danico Autry, Tyquan Lewis. How often are the sacks all coming from the defensive tackles? That's the kind of defensive line group this Colts team has. And yes, Cease, it's like 2001, the discovery. David Johnson can catch the ball. Wow, this big step forward in evolution, right? You know the scene I'm talking about. Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. Well, because it's just like they traded, even Bill O'Brien, you trade for him, you think, okay, the first thing this guy can do is catch the ball out of the backfield. And they barely used him even when Duke Johnson was out earlier in the year. Now that was, maybe O'Brien was the obstacle, because now Duke Johnson's out and David Johnson's racking up those points. Now we'll see if Duke Johnson's going to play next week. The good news is this, because he's watching the Texans make you sad, because Deshaun Watson fights through everything, and they still lose, which burns for him. It does not sit well with him. But the good news is, if you counter on any Texans, and look, you saw Chad Hansen scored a touchdown. They left him alone. They just forgot about him. You saw, okay, 6 for 59, Cook's kind of a floor game, but you want to get. I don't feel any less discouraged. I don't feel less discouraged. I feel just as encouraged to put my Texans in the lineup next week off of this performance, because they get the Bengals. So maybe that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, as we've been suffering with the Texans.
We have been, and the Colts, they're like, let's make a run, and let's do that on the back of Jonathan Taylor, coming through again with 16 for 83, one rushing touchdown for Taylor, 4 for 12 as a receiver. Zach Pascal, remember when he was the thing? He's back. We're back. 5 for 79 and 2 touchdowns for Pascal. T.Y. Hilton still coming on strong, 4 for 71 in this one. Only 2 for 19 for Michael Pittman. Only what the heck flex anyway, if you were considering him. The tight end committee continues. 2 for 14, Jack Doyle. 2 for 14. Well, Ali Cox, 1 for 8. Trey Burton, you're not starting any of them. You might have started Nyheim Hines, 5 for 43 on the ground, 2 for 11 as a receiver. And then there is Phillip Rivers, those 2 touchdowns I talked about, both to Zach Pascal. And then 22 of 28 for 228. There's something cosmic about that line, Bloom, but something cosmic. I see it in your future, Indianapolis. You're making a run.
Yeah. This team is feeling good. And this was the plan, right? You have a defense with some force up front. You have an offense with Phillip Rivers that doesn't feel futile. You draft Jonathan Taylor to give you a power running game. And things are working out for this team right now, even though, again, if you're Tennessee, if you're Indianapolis, if you're Cleveland, if you're Baltimore, if you're Miami, it's like a musical chairs situation here. Just keep winning. T.Y. Hilton didn't have the big game, and I guess the deal with the T.Y. Hilton Texan split is in Houston is when you really want to get a piece of that. But it was there. It was just Zach Pascal, Old Dominion, restricted free agent next year, so he'll be back with this team and probably giving away snaps-wise to Paris Campbell. But he's shown he's a good player, and I don't think anybody had him in their lineups. But he came through with Phillip Rivers' help, and Phillip Rivers is a fantasy quarterback. Not exciting, but it's not going to give you the kind of game, say, that Russell Wilson gave you today. Not at least in this kind of matchup. You love seeing what Jonathan Taylor is doing, and what you see is the game really is slowing down for him. He's patient on his touchdown. He's patient. He's using his vision. He's using his footwork. He's using his burst. All of these things were not apparent earlier in the year. Nyheim Hines still looked good, but he doesn't need to be as foundational in this offense if they're not trailing, and Jonathan Taylor is playing well. So, like I said, just keep winning. You know who they have to win against next week, Cease? The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Here we go. Lions and Titans is all about fit. We'll get to Ryan Tannehill in just a little bit, but 46-25, the final score. And Matthew Stafford played because he's crazy. 22 of 32 passing, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. In comes Chase Daniel, and he throws the pick for him. By the way, Lions fans, enjoy Stafford while he's there. Again, He is going to be on the move. Marvin Jones Jr., 10 for 112 and 1 touchdown. So, all right. Hunter Bryant, 1 for 44 in this one. TJ Hawkinson, 2 for 18. You started Deandre Swift. You got 2 rushing touchdowns. 15 for 67 on the ground, 4 for 15 as a receiver. So that was good. Very, very good. You're not starting Mohamed Sanu or Quintus Cephas or even Danny Amendola. And then look at how many people actually carried the ball, Bloom. 7?
Yeah.
7 people got carries? Okay. This is the Lions, and Matthew Stafford is crazy.
Yeah, but you really owe him an assist if this game helped you out. First and foremost, with Marvin Jones, who had the 7 for 75 in the first half. Could have had a second touchdown, caught it inside the 5. Looks good. He's going to miss Matthew Stafford. Lions are going to miss him. He's going to be a free agent. Deandre Swift had 2 touchdowns. Should have had 3. Tried that go over the top like Teddy Bridgewater. Get it popped out of your hands. You You got to protect that ball at the goal line. So he could have had 3 touchdowns. And T.J. Hawkinson, who was probably some people were looking at their lineups today, like I probably lost because of T.J. Hawkinson. He had a fumble in this one, too. A fumbled in Tennessee territory. So you see that Stafford was keeping them in this game. It was kind of a back and forth game. And this is what contributes directly to Tennessee's output. So because Detroit's offense is good, but their defense is not. And unfortunately, Tom Brady is going to get to pick on that defense next week. Unfortunately, unless you're a Brady fan or a Buccaneers fan. I think a lot of people after today are big fans of Ryan Tannehill.
Big fans. Utini. I always call him Utini. Says looks like I'm wearing a wig. Somebody on Twitter called me a fat Hugh Jackman. I was like, I'd take that.
Yeah.
I'd take it. Right?
Huge what?
Hugh Jackman.
I know. Steve Salami.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's get to that Ryan Tannehill side. And oh my God. Wow. All right. 3 touchdowns passing for Ryan Tannehill, 2 rushing touchdowns for Ryan Tannehill, and 21 of 27 passing for 273 yards. Again, it's all about fit. Derrick Henry did his thing, 24 for 147 and 1. So in a game where Ryan Tannehill blows it up, you think, oh man, Henry maybe was a little, now 147 and a touch. Like he did play a couple catches too, but Corey Davis 4 for 110 and a touchdown. AJ Brown 5 for 44 and a touchdown. Darrington Evans, there's the hard charger from App State, 2 for 27 and a touchdown there as well. Jonnu Smith 5 for 52, and there were times in this game, Bloom, and I believe you've said it before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you like don't look at the number and you just watch the movement, you're like, wow, AJ Brown, and it's not AJ Brown, it's Jonnu Smith. Like there was a couple of plays where he just he went into his beast mode type, and like it's there, man. There's more there with Jonnu Smith, but he came through for you a bit today, more than T.J. Hawkinson. And my God, Ryan Tannehill, stop it! You're embarrassing Adam Gase.
Yeah, it was. Well, you're embarrassing other people's fantasy teams too. 27 attempts, right? So because Detroit's so bad, if this was Chase Daniel, I don't think he would have got to 27 attempts. And also because Detroit's offense was good, they weren't comfortable just sitting on, 35 or whatever they were at, or 33. They felt like they needed to really put this one out of reach. So that expanded the offensive output. So if you won thanks to the Titans, give Matthew Stafford and his bravery an assist here. Ryan Tannehill was a golden ticket to the finals. What do you think of the Air Tannehill touchdown celebration? You like it?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. I mean, it's not okay. Marshawn Lynch going in backwards and saying, but it's, it's a signature thing. It's good. Good for Tannehill. Good for Tannehill. No one's asking, was it just a fluke last year?
Right.
No one's asking that. No one's saying, oh my God, the Titans paid Ryan Tannehill like he's a good quarterback. He deserves the money that he got, and he deserves a fantasy starting spot next week in your lineup. And the sad thing is, your other Titans, right? Because you said Johnny Smith, I doubt you're playing him. 5 for 52. Didn't get a touchdown in this one, even though there were so many touchdowns to go around. Corey Davis, COVID's year, 75-yard touchdown early in this one. Should have had a second score, and Tannehill just airmailed it. I don't remember who got the touchdown after that, whether it was a Tannehill rushing score or maybe it was the A.J. Brown score. A.J. Brown actually just barely got bailed out with a garbage time score, or you would have been really sad and looking at the number of points and looking at Tannehill and saying, what happened?
What?
And even Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry was awesome, running people over like usual, but Tannehill got those rushing touchdowns. And then at the end of the game, when they're racking up the garbage time points, they don't have Henry out there. Oh, so this was like a floor game. That's Derrick Henry in December, right? So you're only in the low 20s. Well, I hope you were able to still win in spite of that. Speaking of that, now this is going to be great. And we complain when they don't flex. They did flex Tennessee, Green Bay, Sunday night. Beautiful contrast in styles, contrast in figures, and that's going to be a good one. Just keep winning. Again, there's too many permutations. I love going to the playoff machine where you enter and like, what if this team wins and this team wins? And you just see like, what do the playoffs look like? The AFC is too much spaghetti, to the numbers and all the variables. It's too much. Just watch the games and enjoy them. Certainly, it's easy to enjoy this Tennessee team right now.
Enjoying the day if you were a Cowboys fan because they won 41-33 over the 49ers. And interesting things to talk about here on both sides. First off, Nick Mullins throws a couple of touchdowns, couple of picks, goes out of the game. C.J. Beathard throws a Hail Mary to Kendrick Bourne, who finishes with 4 for 86 and a touchdown. So congrats if you started him as a what the heck flex. Brandon Ayuk, 9 for 73 and a touch. That's plenty. Started him in your lineups as a wide receiver too. Jordan Reed had a touchdown on the day, and then not much else for anybody else. I mean, when River Craycraft's out there, they're going to the bottom there. Ross Dwelly, Richie James, and all that kind of stuff. Raheem Mostert with 68 yards on the ground. Jeff Wilson, 16 for 60 and a touch there as well. So you saw that committee continue. You got a dash of Jet McKinnon, but you wouldn't be starting him now anyway. So the 49ers fall short. And the Hail Mary makes it seem a little bit closer than it actually was, Bloom.
Yeah, it was a back and forth game really for a while. Dallas got off to a good start based on some turnovers. Nick Mullins not the answer. Nick Mullins not making money. We talk about backup quarterbacks getting in and making money, Cease.
Yeah.
Nick Mullins not making money with his performances. Like using up the patience again. I know he got hurt in this one. We saw Beathard. But you had a feeling you were going to see Beathard even if he didn't get hurt, possibly, the way this one was going. Because it isn't like when you think of shutdown defenses, you think of Dallas. But they were forcing a lot of turnovers. You do think of, when you think of paper-mache run defenses, you think of Dallas. And you think of good running games, you think of San Francisco. Well, modest. And Mostert hurt his ankle again. So you may get Jeff Wilson did basically like a mean or median expectation because San Francisco trailed, because they didn't get the running game on track the way you thought they would. But if Mostert's out next week, San Francisco is going to play Arizona. Now we're talking a little more with Jeff Wilson. Brandon Ayuk gets the touchdown. Just leave him in your lineup. I don't know if Debo is going to be back next week. I don't think so. I don't know if Kittle's going to be back next week. Losing this game decreases the chances of that. Like you said, Kendrick Bourne. You got to be like in a 32-team league to have Bourne in there. But hey, Bourne did catch that Hail Mary. By the way, Mostert had a goal line carry. Wilson had 2 goal line carries, or at least goal-to-go carries. They didn't convert. Ayuk's touchdown came after that. So it was there, a bigger game for the 49ers' running game. But again, they face an Arizona team that felt their adrenaline rushing. And hey, Dallas is still alive, so there's still pulse, at least in Dallas.
Right. And is this the first time they've won back-to-back games with Mike McCarthy? I believe it is, right? Yeah. I believe I might have heard that in my Christmas cookie-induced slumber today. It was awesome. Let's talk about Tony Pollard. He was awesome for you if you had him in. 2 rushing touchdowns, 69 yards on the ground, and then 6 for 63 as a receiver. Andy Dalton threw a couple of touchdowns, 209 yards on 19 of 33 passing. 1 to Michael Gallup, 3 for 26 and a touch. The other to Dalton Schultz, 2 for 14 and a touch. There's Amari Cooper, 2 for 10. Oh, CeeDee Lamb, 5 for 85. And then how do you account for that return on the onside kick? Like, he better get those points.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so in your league as well. Always know your league rules. Always know that O'Doyle rules and that, well, the Cowboys don't rule, but they're still in it, Bloom. So maybe they will.
They play Philadelphia next week, too. They're still in it. And by the way, Chris Kotarski in the chat room says Wilson's hurt, too. I thought there was an injury scare for Jeff Wilson. He says Tevin Coleman. I say no. No, Tevin Coleman. No, you're not in my lineup. No, you're not on my roster. Let somebody else pick him up, even if Jeff Wilson and Mostert are ruled out for that game against Arizona next week. Short field touchdowns early. You know, this offense, they were at least a comeback juggernaut with Dak Prescott. We thought they would at least be an average to above average offense with Andy Dalton. I don't know if they were that, but they did enough, especially Tony Pollard, especially as a receiver, but getting that long touchdown run to help open up some breathing room in the second half. So if you saw the news that Ezekiel Elliott was out, and Cecil, you know, we got to think fast. New considerations, because we were thinking Zeke and Pollard are going to split the work. Now they're not splitting the work. How much does that upgrade Pollard? If you guessed a lot, because he was basically a lead back. Rico Dowdle, the backup, getting we got some Rico Dowdle here. Speaking of undrafted free agents, Pollard really came through for you. Like in a PPR league's a 30-point play. A lot of people saying I'm in the finals because of Tony Pollard, and I really hope they don't play Ezekiel Elliott next week. We'll see. Amari Cooper. Here's the good news: if you had Cooper and survived, Michael Gallup hip injury. So if that target tree gets narrowed a little bit, we saw Philadelphia's pass defense, you know, not one that we're scared of right now. You like CeeDee Lamb and Cecil. Like you said, A.J. Brown style, not the first time it's happened this year. Did you see there was that moment that Lamb recovered it, and he looked ahead of him, and he's like, I can take this. Well,
he was going to go down. He was going to fall down on it. And he was like, wait a second.
He's like, Touchdowns are good. I like touchdowns. So not that anyone had the Dallas defense in. Maybe because it was Nick Mullins and it was a big play. And again, you look at your rules. This is that thread on your league message board that says, let's talk about league rule changes next year. If they're not getting credit for the special teams touchdowns, or, these can also be fumble recovery touchdowns and things like this, something to consider because it was sure a fun play to watch. And again, it is week 16 now coming up, and this Cowboys team ain't dead yet. That's something.
Yeah, that is something. Seattle and Washington next up. 20-15, the final score. Yeah, 20-15. It's weird. Let's talk about Russell Wilson. Yeah, okay. How do you survive the pinchers? Any way you can. 1 touchdown, 1 INT, no sacks for Russell Wilson. So there you go. And then DK Metcalf, 5 for 43. It was Jacob Hollister, Wyoming Cowboys, getting that 1 receiving touchdown. Tyler Lockett, 4 for 34. Chris Carson, 15 for 63. Carlos Hyde, 2 for 55, and a touch, motivated by the return of Rashad Penny-Bloom, which amounted to 2 for 6. So there's that. And Seattle side, you thought would be a touch more robust, right? And it just wasn't today.
It wasn't. In fact, this game was hanging in the balance at the end. So while Seattle, you get a road win against a team like Washington, you should feel pretty good about that. I mean, for fantasy, we're not feeling good. Not that this wasn't foreseeable. I was going to play Taysom Hill over Russell Wilson. I probably advised some people to sit Russell Wilson. I didn't expect it to be this bad. At least he had like 50 rushing yards. If he didn't have that, he probably would have been the worst. He still might have been the worst fantasy play today at quarterback. Not considering expectations, just period. You're better off. We'll see what Colt McCoy does tonight. It was bad. It was really, really. Drew Brees was a better play, and Drew Brees was terrible.
No.
So it was an ugly passing game. And guess what? Next week's the Rams. Now, the good news is, again, spoiler alert, because of what happened today, Seattle can clinch the division if they win at home against the Rams. They didn't do anything against the Rams. So we're going to talk about this on the shows this week. If you say, I'm benching Russell Wilson, I'm benching DK Metcalf, he had like 2 for 28 or something like that against Jalen Ramsey. I'm benching Tyler Lockett, who hasn't done anything in a month and only did something once in the last 2 months. It's rational. Even Chris Carson, Rashad Penny's back. Carlos Hyde had that nice touchdown run. There was nothing there for fantasy. And give credit to Washington. Give credit to Washington, a team that is still in position to make the playoffs. They face Carolina next week, so that's a much more winnable game than this game. This game was winnable. And I can't say, Cecil, that I looked at this and thought, well, maybe there's more there than we thought with Dwayne Haskins. But there was a lot of fight. And I think that we saw him engaged, maybe is the best word, under some pressure. Seattle's defense also improving. So, again, that's the problem. Conservative pass offense, improving defense, all 3 now hands on deck in the backfield. It's not the Seattle pass defense might have got you off, pass offense might have got you off to a hot start, but it's probably not going to help you bring the title home, and it might have ended your fantasy season today.
And here comes Dwayne Haskins back in 38 of 55, 295, 1 touchdown, 2 INT, sacked 4 times. Logan Thomas is a struggle target, 13 for 101 on 15 targets. Hell, 12 targets for Terry McLaurin, 7 for 77. J.D. McKissick had 1 receiving touchdown, 9 for 56 as a receiver, and then 13 for 51 on the ground. Peyton Barber had a rushing touchdown. Haskins had 28 yards rushing because that counts as well. 5 for 26 for Cam Sims. So this was Terry, Thomas, and McKissick day with Haskins doing what he could, man, to get back out there and try to prove something.
Yeah, it's like hockey style. Our 3 stars of the night. Our 3 stars of the day. This 55 pass attempts helped. We'll start with Terry McLaurin. And what you can say with McLaurin, it wasn't a massive blow-up game. It wasn't a week-winning game, but it was better than he's been doing lately. And he earned everything. He was getting belted. He was fighting for catches. It wasn't a massive game, but he's tough. He checks the box for toughness, among other things. Let's go to JT McKissick, who again is showing that he's not just a gadget back. He's not just a 3rd or 4th running back that you use to fix cracks in your offense. He did get a little banged up in this one, but now we've seen whether it's Alex Smith or it's Dwayne Haskins, he can rack up volume. We'll see if they go back to Alex Smith next week. I think if Smith is healthy enough, we'll see him against Carolina. That's good for McKissick as long as he's healthy. Scored a touchdown in addition to all of his catches. And then 1 Logan Thomas. Cease, if we had talked back in August and I said, come the fantasy playoffs, Logan Thomas is going to be one of the keys to making it to the finals. I mean, I don't care if you talk to Logan Thomas's mama. Like, that's a little much.
Right.
That's a little much. This last month, he has blossomed as a player, and it's really fun to watch. And it's especially fun if you trusted him in your lineup, racking up those catches, sure-handed, and it's really excellent. See, we reflect back on August, and we see how much a player can grow over the course of a season. And that is what Thomas has done. That's what this Washington team has done. And again, Ron Rivera fighting cancer. They were in this game. So, yeah, they're a credible playoff team. Seattle made the playoffs today. Good champagne. But, isn't exactly a game that makes you feel comfortable that Seattle is some class of the NFC or that Washington doesn't belong with the class of the NFC.
It felt good for Jamal Adams. You see his press conference where he's like, I'm not used to this. I had a future vision of Justin Simmons saying the same thing somewhere else next year.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this. Bears and Vikings up next, 33-27. The final score. Mitchell Trubisky, 202 yards passing, one up, one down in this one. The one touchdown to Darnell Mooney. Watch out for that speed, man. It doesn't take much. 4 for 49 and a touch. Allen Robinson, 4 for 83. Again, quarterback proof. You're not starting Jimmy Graham. I hope not. Or Cole Kmet. I hope not. A couple catches for each of those guys. David Montgomery.
Yes.
The chef's kiss. Mwah. Magnifique for David Montgomery. 32 for 146 and 2 touchdowns. And what was it about his return? Like, he was always good. It was okay. Like, he was always decent, Bloom, right? He was always a strong runner, natural, instinctive, all those sorts of good things. This is the best version of himself.
Yeah.
So, YOLO, David Montgomery, on his return because he's living his best life, right? All that kind of hashtag 2021, new year, new me. Well, Montgomery, wow. Thank you, David Montgomery, because it's been fun watching him play.
A lot of teams getting through to the finals with David Montgomery's help, for sure. Maybe, I don't want to bloom my teams. Maybe one of mine. I remember when I felt bad that I traded James Conner for David Montgomery in a Dynasty League. Anyway, this isn't about my team. This is about your teams and about these teams. Hey, the Bears are one step closer to making the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky. And just in case you didn't, and Mitch wasn't great for fantasy today, even though they put up some points because it was Montgomery that was the star, although the offense was moving. So that's good. The offense is moving consistently. But just in case you were wondering why it's so dreadful to think of Trubisky leading this team for the fans of the Bears to the playoffs, is he threw a end zone interception that could have allowed the Vikings to win this game, which maybe would have been more fitting, but it didn't happen. So the Bears get Jacksonville next week. Now, they need Arizona to slip up. Arizona plays San Francisco, and then I believe they're going to play, is it the Rams in the last week of the season? I don't know. It's going to be one of the other two teams in the division. So I think that they will win the tiebreakers and need to play around with the playoff machine. They're still alive. That's the main point. And like you said, with Darnell Mooney, you see that speed. At least Allen Robinson got those 4 catches for 83, but you feel like it could have been bigger. And for Minnesota, it wasn't a terrible performance by their defense. Just David Montgomery brought the lumber. It wasn't a terrible performance by their offense. They're just a mediocre team at this point, but it's ended up better than we expected. This, however, is the end of the line.
Yeah, Minnesota, you're fooling yourself with Kirk Cousins. Hey, keep going. Congrats on that. But this was a great battle of the backs, right, Bloom?
Yeah.
Not battle of the bands, battle of the backs, because Dalvin Cook is so much fun. You can block it for 1, and he'll get 10. Like, that's how good he is. Always going to make that corner. He's got that vision, patience, setup, everything. 24 for 132, 1 rushing touchdown, 5 for 27 as a receiver. Justin Jefferson, 8 for 104. That's a thing. Still continues. Touchdown for Adam Thielen, 2 for 11 and a touch. Okay, Tyler Conklin, 3 for 57 and a touch there. Irv Smith, there's more there, 3 for 37 in this one. And, Kirk Cousins, 271, 2 touchdowns, 1 INTs, just in case you had him in a 2 QB league. And the Vikings are looking in the mirror, Bloom.
Yeah, absolutely. And, hey, they paid Dalvin Cook, and he deserves it. Acceleration, that's what I think of when I think of Cook's game. Just that instant acceleration. And then Cousins getting it done with Justin Jefferson. So it wasn't as much as he did in the first matchup, but it was enough. Adam Thielen was held down like he was in the first matchup, but he had 2 touchdowns in the first matchup. Only 1 in this one. A bit of a dud. Certainly I can imagine looking at your lineup and saying, yeah, if I had just gotten Thielen's average game, I would have won. But I think that he had some weak winning performances for us, so we can't hold that against him. As you said, with Irv Smith, little underperforming because of Tyler Conklin, who's been hanging around there, a classic receiving tight end, had some good power at the goal line. So you saw among the Minnesota tight ends enough production for there to be a startable fantasy tight end. This week, it was Conklin. And then we get Minnesota going to New Orleans, which it's one of the teams. See, there's a list, like it's something like out of Taxi Driver and Robert De Niro or something, like the list, the Rams, the Vikings. Yes, the Vikings are high on that list of teams that the Saints, every time they play, it's like getting all that stuff out again for the Vikings. Kind of playing out the string, but it's still Spielman, it's still Zimmer, it's still this team. Like you said, there's some choices with the Cousins. There's some other things that we'll look forward to. As there was a point about a month ago when you looked at the schedule that you thought the Vikings can make a playoff run, but no, not even close.
Not even close. Let's talk Buccaneers and Falcons. Close. It was close a few times, and then it was a second half surge from Tampa Bay that got him over the top. 31-27, the final score over Atlanta. Tom Brady, 390 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Touchdowns are like this. Antonio Brown, he actually did something. 5 for 93 and a touch. Chris Godwin, 4 for 36 and a touch. Mike Evans, 6 for 110 in this contest. Cameron Brate, 4 for 54 here. Rob Gronkowski, 3 for 29. Oh, and then Leonard Fournette. We know with Rojo with those pins, they're like, okay, you're on the sidelines for a week, and Fournette goes 2 rushing touchdowns, 14 of 49, 3 for 16 as a receiver. So if you had him, you waited on him, or just picked him up on the Rojo news, Bloom, he came through for you. In Tampa Bay, again, they were down 17-0 at the half. I'm sure Bruce Arians had some very nice things to say at halftime.
Yeah, right. He might hurt your feelings. Leonard Fournette, like Salvin Ahmed, I told 0 people to play Leonard Fournette today. So if you came through with Leonard Fournette, congratulations to your visionary ability to see that he was going to score these touchdowns. For the first half of this game, plus, because the game was 24-7 also, for the first half of this game, plus, the Bucs looked horrible. They looked like the worst team. They had the worst half of football, I think, of any team today, I would say. I don't know. Maybe if I really think about it, Jacksonville might have been worse in the first half. It was a slow start for this team. Slow. One of my followers told me, I didn't follow it up, that Brady had the most passing yards of any quarterback in half in the second half of this one. And you did see this offense start to come together. The Brady to Evans connection is coming together. Antonio Brown did get free for a deep ball. Godwin at least caught a touchdown. If Ronald Jones can't play next week, we'll see. And it's Detroit. Then we are looking at Fournette, even though they played McCoy over Fournette. Last week it was Fournette as the game moved along. But Cecil, I guess this is another one, like play the hits, right? Atlanta's going to get a big lead and collapse. Play it again. Play it again. They played it again. Free bird.
Yeah. It's the rule of 17. Matt Ryan, 356 yards, 3 touchdowns, and for fantasy, that's all we care about, right? The touchdowns are like this: 10 for 163 and a touch to Calvin Ridley. Russell Gage, 5 for 68 and a touch. Hayden Hurst got in on the action with 4 for 21 and a touch there as well. You're not really looking to the backs, at least you shouldn't be. Ito Smith, 6 for 24. Todd Gurley, 1 for -1. Couple of catches there. So it was really about Matt Ryan, that arm, those receivers, and of course, Sons, Julio, Calvin, and Russell stepping up.
Yeah, they did. Gage was hot early, didn't do as much later. Ridley was dominant. Ryan was one of his best games of the year, just didn't finish it. And there was a play where, you watch enough football, right? And there are the plays when the broadcasters are finishing the play, like to Ridley for you see the ball in the air, you see Ridley, and Antoine Winfield says, no touchdown. No. And that was kind of a turning point because Tampa had clawed all the way back, but that touchdown would have, I think, put wind back in the sails of the Falcons. And that was a really, really big play. It was just some hope for Matt Ryan after he was, again, this is another team at a crossroads. What do you do with Julio? What do you do with Matt Ryan? What do you do with who you let take control of this team? Do you just give them carte blanche and you say, well, we're hiring you to hopefully run this team for the next 10 or 15 or 20 years? No short-term decisions, but at least Matt Ryan give them a little bit to think about, showing them what it looks like when he plays well. We'll see if he can do that against Kansas City next week.
One of the most exciting games, and honestly, Bloom, let's pull back the curtain, right?
Okay.
So we're supposed to do no Broncos today because they ruined my Saturday. Anyway, so we're supposed to do 2 recap shows, right? One after the early games and then one after the afternoon games. Kind of shorten some things up. It makes the editing process. I put 2 together for the Audible show, the audio show of this show, and I was like, you know what? I really want to watch Saints Chiefs. Like, just enjoy it as a fan. Rarely do I get to do that and watch football. So I was like, Bloom, let me have this one. You obliged. I appreciate that, brother. This Eagles-Cardinals game was way better.
Yeah, that was actually the game you wanted to watch.
The Eagles-Cardinals game was the game that I ended up watching more than the game that I wanted to watch, that I changed the schedule for, that you allowed, that we could actually do this a little bit later so I could watch Saints and Chiefs. We'll get to that in a little bit. And oh my God, Jets-Rams. But let's talk about Eagles and Cardinals. 33-26 the final score. So Eagles side first, Jalen Hurts, 24-44, 338, 3 touchdowns on the day. Touchdowns are like this. Couple of them to Greg Ward, 4 for 15 and 2 touchdowns. Quez Watkins, 3 for 40 and a touch. And it's like Mooney. There was a few of those like 4-2-ish guys in the draft, Bloom. The early ones, obviously, Henry Ruggs, right? But Quez Watkins and Darnell Mooney, those were also 2 like borderline, the 4-2, like super, super fast guys. And Watkins is just like little pass turned inside on a screen and then just like lightning, pow. It was Jalen to Jalen, 5 for 49 for Jalen Reagor. Alshon Jeffrey, one of the most difficult catches. And the old man can still play. Just don't trust him or count on him or rely on him. But 2 for 63, and the one he caught with Patrick Peterson just like right there. Great throw, great catch, great effort, great coverage, and Jeffrey came down with it. Nobody started him. Zach Ertz, nobody started him. You did start Dallas Goedert. He had 4 for 39. I don't think I told Tatum, but Tatum Bell's texted me today, Bloom, but I didn't have my phone on me. And it was a Dallas Goedert question. So I hope whoever he started that wasn't Dallas Goedert did better than that. Zach Ertz had 2 for 69. Miles Sanders, 64 yards on the ground. By the way, Jalen Hurts had a rushing touchdown and 63 yards. So not 100 this week, but 63 and a rushing touchdown and 3 touchdowns passing. A big, big day for the Eagles' new quarterback as the reports are trickling in about Carson Wentz being unhappy. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's a new age. Velvet Underground, the beginning of a new age.
You want a mobile quarterback. The NFL has changed. You want not an athletic quarterback. The difference is Drew Lock is athletic. He's not mobile. Josh Allen is mobile. Jalen Hurts is mobile. Russell Wilson is mobile. You want a mobile quarterback today, and we got to see 2 go against each other again. This was the game of the afternoon.
Yeah, it was. You think Lincoln Riley was enjoying this one, Cease? Like watching your kid? Like I can't root for one. I got to root for them both.
He's wearing the split jersey, right?
Yeah, exactly. I honestly, I didn't tell people to start Ahmed. I didn't tell people to start Fournette. I didn't tell people to start Hurts. See, I should have thought about Vance Joseph. I really should have just channeled Vance Joseph and thought, yeah, you want the quarterback facing Vance Joseph.
Always.
Yeah, you want that. Yeah, that's some good eating. Jalen Hurts. It was Jalen Hurts playing like Russell Wilson. Let Jalen cook. And what you're seeing with Jalen, and we saw the news this morning that Carson Wentz doesn't want to be in Philly if he's not going to be the starter. Okay, where is he going to be? We'll see. Start the storylines in the offseason already. Hurts is playing at the very limits of his ability, which is exciting. It's really exciting. And he's not necessarily playing in this great structured quarterback way, but he's breathed life back into this offense. And mostly for him, right? So everybody, Jalen Hurts is top 5 fantasy quarterback against Dallas next week, right? Miles Sanders was just okay, kind of a floor game for him. But as this offense is going again, it's Dallas. If you made it with Miles Sanders, you want that. You like the trust from Greg Ward. Greg Ward's not making big plays. Greg Ward is not a great athlete, say, that's going to win with his incredible quickness or ups or something. He's just going to make a play that takes nerves, a play where there's a little margin of error. I think Jalen Hurts can see that. Like you said, Quez Watkins, that speed, very, very apparent. And then he's spreading it out. Even Zach Ertz makes a few big plays. Goddard almost had a touchdown in this one, just couldn't quite hold it. So you're liking Goddard as a tight end if Tatum Bell's still alive next week. Again, it's Dallas. And hey, Philly, It's tough. If they'd won this game, we'd be a lot more excited about them. They could have, with Washington losing to Seattle, it was set up for them to win out, go to the playoffs. Now, I mean, still, I don't believe they're eliminated. And it doesn't matter because, I mean, they're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. But they have a quarterback. And Jalen Hurts, I think, is way ahead of schedule. And sees all I can really chalk it up to is there's just that spiritual, emotional, psychological part of playing quarterback that we really can't evaluate when we peek through keyholes. It's something about how you react to adversity. It's about how you react to a situation that pushes you to your very limits. Even those of us in our own lives don't know what's in us until life brings it out. And what the NFL has brought out in Hurts has just been tremendous, enjoyable, fun to watch, just like the quarterback on the other side of this.
Yeah, like the quarterback on the other side, which still doesn't quite yet have a full grasp of what he's doing.
No.
And it's awesome. 406 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT, because he's just a playmaker, and that is Kyler Murray. Let's talk about those touchdowns. Nuke Hopkins, 9 for 169 and a touch. And what was it, Barnett? I like Barnett Bloom. I talked to him after their Super Bowl win. Hitting him out of bounds. It's like, come on, don't spark it. Don't spark Nuke Hopkins. Don't do that, Barnett. Don't do it. Larry Fitzgerald, and let's just take a moment, Bloom. I saw Fitzgerald blocking on, what was it, one of the Chase Edmonds runs, right?
Right.
And he's just out there. He's like chopping. He's giving full effort. And I was like, man alive. I'm going to miss him, man. Like we just all have to appreciate. And he had 3 for 35 and a touch and nobody started him, right? Or you shouldn't have been starting him or whatever. But it's like, just watching Larry Fitzgerald play and his love for this game and his effort when he's a blocker, and he's not getting anything this year, right? But like, just it's inspiring, man. It's really, really great. He had the touchdown, and then Chase Edmonds had a receiving touchdown, and also 11 for 47 on the ground. Kyler Murray, by the way, had a rushing touchdown. So his 400 yards, his 3 TDs, and his rushing touchdown meant very good things for your fantasy team. And if you had Dan Arnold 3 for 54, you'll take that. The way tight ends have performed this year. Hey, I got TJ Hawkinson or Dan Arnold. Well, you should have started the Cardinal. So let's talk about these Cardinals in week 15.
Well, most importantly, they get the win and they stay in the playoff picture. And while we're singing a song of praise for Larry Fitzgerald, who caught his first touchdown of the year, and it was a tremendous catch and a tremendous throw. And Adam Harstad, our mutual friend, football guy, Adam Harstad, I'm quoting him, I believe the biggest age disparity in terms of young quarterback, old wide receiver is Murray to Fitzgerald, if we're talking about all-time touchdowns. And it was a good one because Murray trusted him and Fitzgerald made a tremendous play, might have even been interfered with. And they keep winning, which is important because Larry Fitzgerald had, dare I say, the best single postseason of any player ever at any position whenever Arizona lost to Pittsburgh. He was incredible. No player can influence a game in those playoffs, in any playoffs, the way that Fitzgerald influenced those games, week after week after week, from the wide receiver position. Oh, no, wait. Then there's DeAndre Hopkins. Wow. See, we watch a lot of football. We watch a lot of football. And, maybe, I don't know, a few dozen times a year, there's a play that just makes you go, wow. Like audibly, like you forget yourself. You're just in awe. And Hopkins has already done that once this year with the Hail Mary.
Right.
The catch he made for the touchdown, the game-winning touchdown, it was like the fires of hell surged around him and winged demons came down and clawed at the ball, and the devil himself came and tried to knock him down. And Hopkins was just holding the ball up in the air. Like out of the flames, you see an arm and a hand and a football, and the referee says touchdown, and it's DeAndre Hopkins. And that touchdown was the difference in a lot of fantasy matchups this week. I guarantee it. If he doesn't make that play, there are a lot of teams that aren't going to the finals, and this team's not going to have a chance to go to the playoffs. Kenyon Drake got banged up in this game. Chase Edmonds was the game-time decision, comes out healthier. Next week against San Fran, maybe Chase Edmonds. Maybe it's his turn in our lineups. This was the game of the day, and I think it just bodes well for the future. And I think you really nailed the takeaway, like the code for the league. Mobile quarterback is what it spells out. And because we had 2 excellent young mobile quarterbacks that are only going to get better, this one was fun.
I like what Pekach says in the chat room. Hail Murray.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Jets and Rams. 23-20, the final score. Jets get the win. And as they're up in this one, and what was it, 13-3 at half? And you're like, no. I mean, hey, put together a good half, but no. Yeah. And then the further it went on, you're like, oh my God, they're going to win. They did win. 23-20 Jets get their first win of the season. Winless no more. I'm sure Adam Gase is the toast of the town tonight, or not. Sam Darnold, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. It's going to be fun watching him somewhere else next year. Jamison Crowder with the devil. There's the devil line, Bloom. 6 for 66. Devil, get out. Chris Herndon, 3 for 48. The talent's always been there. It's just never come through for him. Denzel Mims, not a lot. Rashard Perriman, not a lot. Ty Johnson with receiving touchdown, 6 for 39. When he turns on those jets, like when he doesn't have to change direction, it's just like lightning. And then Frank Gore kind of enjoying it like Larry Fitzgerald, 2.6 a carry, but still Frank Gore, 23 for 59, 1 rushing touchdown. And congratulations to our Jets fans out there. Chase Stewart among them. It's the first person I thought of, Bloom. I thought of Chase Stewart. I was like, he gets to celebrate with his young son tonight because the Jets are victorious.
What's the misery math here? Jets end the 0-16 misery, but they get the misery of losing Trevor Lawrence if things hold. Jags fans are rooting for the worst team in the league, which might be going to London. But they get Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. No one's really happy here, especially not the Rams. But the Rams still, if they can beat Seattle next week, they can still control their destiny for the division and so on and so forth. The Jets wanted to give this game to the Rams. They come out, and we were used to the Jets. I think it's 8 games in a row they've scored on their first drive. I mean, I think that's a field goal or a touchdown. But the point is, Adam Gase and Dwello Gaines, they spend all that time like during the game, the week before, drawing up the plays for the game. There you go. That's where all the brain power is, that first drive. But no, they kept it going. And there were these moments, Rams decided to go for it, 4th and 1 at their own 29 in the first half because they were flailing. And they drew the Jets offsides, the own 29. Like, oh, here we go. But no. And they were playing, it's the defense. Let's give the game ball, one of the game balls to the defense here. It's frustrating Jared Goff. And you have to also look at this game and just think the the Rams were overconfident. It's just clear they took the Jets lightly, and a team can feed off of that. I don't know what veteran leader it is in the locker room. Frank Gore, probably. I don't know if there's some side to playing for Adam Gase that the guys who do actually bond with him get something out of it. But they kept fighting, and the defense kept fighting. Goff comes up small. There's some teams that are going to look at Goff's point total and look at who they were going to play, like Hurts or someone. And oh boy, Akers got banged up in this one. He was still the lead back. Again, Akers might be another one. You're like, I was looking at Akers, Pollard. You've chosen poorly. Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett, a concussion. So Tyler Higbee comes through. And you see some of his speed and downfield ability in addition to his touchdown. Robert Woods comes through, and that's it. Cooper Kupp, another one. The GOAT, the zero, not a playoff fantasy hero for you. And again, the Jets were settling for field goals, and the Jets get the ball back with 6 minutes left, and they're up. Oh man, the Rams are still going to get the ball back again. Frank Gore said, "No, none shall pass. You will not get the ball back." And it was a glorious thing. I cheered.
Yeah. Oh, why not? Right. Something to cheer about. And I think they're uniting against Adam Gase. That
works too.
Hey, whatever. As long as they come together, right? That's all that matters. Final game we're going to talk about here tonight on the recap show. It's Chiefs and it's Saints. It's 30-29, Bloom. So just your initial swipe, you go, wow, ooh, what a game. But as you watch this game, you're like, oh, this is crap. Drew Brees can't complete a pass. What did he start? I know it was 0-5. He's never started 0-5.
0 for 7.
So I think it was 06, 07, whatever it was. He couldn't complete a pass. He should have been out there. Come on. You made the right choice with Michael Thomas, right? Shut him down. Get him ready for the postseason. I've said this before talking about Ben. Do what the Broncos did with Peyton Manning. When Manning was awful and he got benched. He got benched, people. Yes, he was a little bit hurt, but he could have played. But he got benched. and they won. They were running that 7-game run with Brock Osweiler, went like 4-3. Manning comes back week 17. You don't know like how much he's got left in the tank, and they win a Super Bowl. That's what they should have done with Drew Brees. That's what the Steelers should have done with Ben Roethlisberger. Like when you have those guys that are just at that area. So the Chiefs side, okay, Mahomes 3 touchdowns, 254. Right? So you go Travis Kelce, 8 for 68 and a touch. Tyreek Hill, 6 for 53 and a touch. McCole Hardman, 3 for 22 and a touch. And there was more there. There was more there for Demarcus Robinson if he hangs on to the ball. Sammy Watkins, 4 for 60. Le'Veon Bell had a rushing touchdown and, maybe his glimpse of what he used to be in this game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 14 for 79 in this one. Catch each for each one of those running backs. So, as we jump into the Chiefs side, Bloom, like, okay, excitement, 32-29, woo, close game. But it's like, nah, this really wasn't a good game up until the fourth quarter.
Well, I'll say this, okay? Let's just talk about the game before we get to the Kansas City side specifically. Kansas City comes out and opens up a 14-0 lead, and Drew Brees just looks miserable. Terrible. Finally gets a 51-yarder to Sanders. They end up scoring, making it 14-7. And then at the end of the first half, because in the background, preview of the KC side, dare I say it, Cease, no defense did a better job against Patrick Mahomes than Saints did today. I thought they were heroic.
Well, and Romo said it time and time again, like playing the safeties back. That's how he would play it. And that's what the Saints did. They just played the safeties back. Like, okay, just run underneath us all day. Who cares? Yeah.
And there was a point when Drew Brees was like 2 for 10 for 56, and he had more yards per attempt than Mahomes. That's how well the Saints were playing. But, they were giving up the touchdowns. This is what's the opposite of a bend but don't break defense? Like that's been the Saints sometimes, like be strong and then break all at once. But still, and then Demarcus Robinson, because McCole Hardman, there's always at least one play a game when the Chiefs are frustrated with McCole Hardman, like Mahomes or a coach or one of his teammates. It's like, come on. Actually, Mahomes kind of hung him out to dry on the ball. He got hit, I think, and made Demarcus Robinson out there. Demarcus Robinson with like 10 seconds less in the first half, trying to razzle-dazzle like 1-on-11 with a punt return. Gets stripped. It's just sitting there in the end zone, and time slows down. Boom, boom. Alex Anzalone, you see it. It's right there. And again, the broadcaster's ready to say, and it's out of the end zone.
Yeah.
It's Alex Anzalone. And if he recovers that, and it's 14-14 going into the half, and the Saints are going to get the ball, and Brees is starting to warm up, maybe it's different. And you have to give the Saints some credit, because then Kansas City opens up another 2-touchdown lead. And then what do? They get a strip sack from Mahomes, and they score again to tighten it up. And even at the end, when they're down 10, they tighten it up to 3. But Mahomes, it was an okay fantasy day, not a great fantasy day. And he had to scratch and fight and claw. He took a lot of hits. He knows Trey Hendrickson. Like, he knows what Trey Hendrickson ate this morning. Like, he knows because his breath was in his face all day. Cam Jordan got thrown out of this one, by the way, through a punch. So the Saints' defense should feel really good, even though they gave up 30 points. That's where we are with Patrick Mahomes, by the way. See, I feel like if you force Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball away, that's as good as sacking another quarterback. I mean, that's how hard it is to defend him. And they were defending him well. But it wasn't enough. Kelce comes through for you. Hill, enough. Hardman had a touchdown. Probably didn't have him in there anyway. Edwards-Helaire gets hurt in this one. Does a split that he did not do voluntarily. And it did not look good. I do not think we're going to see Edwards-Helaire next week. We'll see about Le'Veon Bell. We're going to have a lot of Le'Veon Bell questions. So, isn't this the fantasy playoff, Cease?
Yep.
Going into week 16, we're going to have questions about Leonard Fournette. We're going to have questions about Salvon Ahmed. We're going to have questions about Le'Veon Bell. Questions about Tony Pollard. This is you have to be able to be agile. This is an agile team that played a team that, at least on defense, brought the effort, still scored 32 points. And with the Saints, you have to just hope Brees is getting warmed back up. You even see it during a game sometimes. It takes until the second half. Maybe this is just getting that game out of the way, so by the time they get to the playoffs, he's ready, because he wasn't ready.
Was not ready. Does not compute. Drew Brees, 15 of 34. When the hell is he ever like a 40% passer? Now 3 touchdowns. Okay, so got it warmed up as the touchdowns go like this. Latavius Murray, 2 for 26 and a receiving touchdown, 4 for 3 on the ground. Little Jordan Humphrey, 2 for 29 and 1 receiving touchdown. Alvin Kamara, 3 for 40 and 1 receiving touchdown. Also 11 for 54 on the ground. Taysom Hill had a rushing touchdown. Taysom Hill also had a couple of targets, but no completions, including one. I think it was one of Breeze's first attempt. I think it was his first attempt, right? Where he threw it up for Taysom in double coverage. It's like, What are you doing? Don't do that. Emmanuel Sanders, gonna do 4 for 76 in this contest. Jared Cook, 2 for 29. Of course, when he'd just been hot with Taysom Hill, now goes back to being super, super cold. So no Michael Thomas and Drew Brees back in meant for an interesting day for the Saints.
Not a good fantasy day. I mean, even though you got a touchdown out of Alvin Kamara, you felt like it should have been a bigger day for him, just the way he's playing in this matchup. They weren't trying to establish the run. Cecil, we'll look back on this game maybe more kindly if Breeze is humming by the time we get to the playoffs, and this pass offense, like it was before he got hurt, short passing, pace, keeping the defense on their heels in a way, using the talent they have. Michael Thomas hopefully will be ready to go by then. But if this offense continues to look like this, then we'll say maybe, like, why did you go? This team would have had a better chance to win with Taysom Hill today. I know people are going to say, no, you're crazy. This team would have had a better chance to win if Taysom Hill was the quarterback today. Mm-hmm. Maybe even if Taysom Hill would have been the quarterback in the second half. Just because at this point, I think that maybe he gives defenses more to think about than Breeze does, especially without Thomas out there. And if you played Saints, you're disappointed. You know, he played Sanders. Sanders 12 for 122 the last time he played with Breeze and no Michael Thomas. This was disappointing. Jared Cook, like you said, starting to warm up. Disappointing. You did see Murray did a nice job scooting down the sideline on his touchdown, but you felt bad because the Saints defense was putting up the fight, and the Saints defense played a winning game if they just had an offense, and you were watching it and you just felt it. Breeze could not keep up with Mahomes, even a severely limited by an excellent defensive performance Mahomes. And see, this is why, like, I think about the Steelers, I think about Roethlisberger, and I think, boy, I hope the Bills can make a run, you know, because you just get a feeling that the quarterback play you need is just not there for the Saints to beat a good team right now, even though the defensive play is. But it's still one more week until the fantasy championship. It's still 2 more weeks until the NFL playoffs, when they'll continue to surprise us. They'll continue to captivate us. They'll continue to leave us breathless. Maybe we'll get a team into the finals or win some prop bets or some DFS lineups.
Right.
Or just enjoy, you know, a great afternoon of football. You felt the intensity coming off of that Browns-Ravens game. You felt that intensity start to increase. The games we had Thursday, Saturday weren't great games. There were some great games today. There's more great games to come. And again, maybe a fantasy championship if we're lucky.
A fantasy championship, or just keep playing those prop bets if you're out of fresh OG like me and using our Football Guys projections for prop bets.
Yeah.
Because, well, it's legal. It's legal at Bushwood, though, sir. That is a wrap for the recap show. I need to wear a hat. So I did have a haircut. This is what big baby I am, Bloom. I have a Jeep. It's an old Wrangler, my old 99 TJ, Sahara, by the way. And I love it, right? Go anywhere. That's why I love it. I love it because I can still work on it, because underneath the hood, it's not all complicated and computerized and all that. It's got the old inline 6 that'll run. My neighbor's got a 98 TJ. They made it from 97 to 2006, and his has like 289,000 miles. So those things run forever, right? Run forever and go anywhere. Like I got zero, like what? Snow, drifts, whatever. Boom, whatever. There was like a skiff of snow on Friday. I had a haircut at an appointment, right, with my barber, Louis, at shout out Fade American Barbershop. He's the Broncos barber. So I had an appointment with Louis, and there was like this skiff of snow on Friday. And I'm such a baby. I was like, man, I don't want to go. So I texted Louis. I apologized. I Venmo'd him the money, and I was like,
right. Yeah. So your horse keep taking you across the plains.
Yep, that's right. Up here in the beautiful state of Colorado. He is Sigmund Bloom. I am Cecil Lammey. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about our schedule, Bloom, because it's Christmas week. So I hope everyone's having a great holiday season. Again, if you're not, reach out. I tweeted about this shirt, Bloom, but this is a Dark Side shirt. It's from Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Sweet.
You see it right there. and it's supporting a great cause. And it's for Ink to the People made the shirt for Zack Snyder's Justice League and to support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So you bought this shirt and 100% of the proceeds went to the AFSP. So again, it's a very stressful time. I shared the story on air about how there was someone locally back home that she had committed suicide. So again, the holidays are a great time, fun time. If they're not, reach out. Please remember how much you are loved and cared for by others out there, and reach out to people and just talk to people. It's a heavy year for all of us. And if you're not feeling good, make sure to reach out and talk to people and, get the help. Asking for help is a powerful thing, Bloom. It's not a weakness at all. It shows incredible strength to go to someone and just be like, I need help. There's no shame in that whatsoever. So again, great cause. I just wanted to wear it. Wanted to, kind of shout them out and everything here on the show. And yeah, that's a wrap for tonight. We'll have our schedule Tuesday, Wednesday. I might want to double up on Wednesday, Bloom.
Yeah,
we're talking personal business right over the air, but yeah.
What do you guys think? Let us know in the chat room. Remember, like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, there you go. See, look at you getting Sasha from Casually Comics. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. Everyone, stay tuned and stay frosty.